Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Jacobite Rising. This is a game designed by Richard Borg and published by Compass Games. Compass sent this over to me just recently, and I wanted to share a look inside with you. If you are familiar with any of Richard Borg's games, and there are a lot, you know exactly what to expect in this one. He's created a system that anybody can jump into. You don't have to be a hardcore wargamer. You could be a non-wargamer and understand the system very easily. Memoir 44 is a great example of how popular this type of design is. The Command & Colors Ancients, you name it. There are a ton of games that are from this system, and it has been a real boon to wargaming and introducing non-wargamers to wargaming as well. So let's take a look at the back of the box and see what this game's all about. By design, Command & Colors Tricorne, the Jacobite Rising is not overly complex. The game is based on the highly successful Command & Colors Tricorne game system, where the command cards drive movement while creating a fog of war, and the battle dice resolve combat quickly and efficiently. In a Jacobite Rising Tricorne battle, unit morale is one of the main thematic concepts as it was historically, with the possibility that an entire unit that has only taken minimal losses when forced to retreat may actually break en route from the battlefield, which will definitely keep players on the edge of their command chairs during an entire battle. To further emphasize the differences in battlefield doctrine between the Highland clans and the government forces, each army has its own unique deck of combat cards. The scale of the game fluctuates, which allows players to effectively portray some of the larger historical Rising battles like Culloden and Falkirk, as well as smaller-sized skirmish actions. The 13 battles showcased in the scenarios section of this booklet feature a stylized battlefield map that emphasize the important terrain features and highlight the historical deployment of forces in scale with the game system. Still, the tactics of the period that you will need to execute to gain victory conform remarkably well to the advantages and limitations inherent to the various armies of the day and the battlefield terrain features on which they fought. And it says here it is for 2 players, 60 to 90 minutes, ages 14 and up. It is about 6 on the complexity scale. Solitaire suitability is only 4. Game contents, you get a rule and scenario booklet, a battlefield game board, 4 sheets of terrain, 52 command cards, 58 combat cards, 8 engraved battle dice, 6 block label sheets, 2 double-sided unit and terrain effect cards, and 283 blocks. And up here lists out the scenarios that you'll have, 13 of them, and you see an example of the blocks, the cards, and the graphics that are on each of them. So let's take a look inside and see what you get. We get a note here that says Jacobite Rising dice are correct. The rules are wrong on color of cavalry and infantry. A little bit of a clarification there. Speaking of dice, we got our bag of dice. 1, 2, 3, 4 bags of blocks, which is why this box is so heavy when you pick it up. And a note about Killiecrankie. There is a little clarification on that battle. We've got 2 packs of cards, our rule book, full color, player aid cards, our sticker sheets, 6 of them, the terrain tiles, which are shrink wrap because these are like easy punch counters now, they just fall right out, and then our map. So let's set up the map and take a closer look at the game. And here's a look at the map that comes with the game. It is a mounted map. It is 13 hexes wide by 11 hexes tall, and it is broken down into 3 segments, right, left, center, as they all are for the Richard Borg system. And it's just a plain map. And the reason why is because you're going to be building it out with the terrain pieces. And these have already started falling out, so I'm being very careful. I've got this one upside down because, as I said, when you take them out of the shrink wrap, they're just going to start falling out, and that's what this one did. Let's turn it over, and I'm sure, there we go, just a little tiny, not even a shake, just a touch, and they start to fall out. But this is how you're going to build your maps. You're going to be told by the scenario how to lay out these terrain tiles. You're going to just lay them out as they say, and here you go. You've got your little battlefield that's being built. And it is pretty simple. I got more that are just falling out here, rivers. So we're going to throw a little river up here, a little stream. And this is what you're going to do to build your maps. And it's a really simple system. It's to play, it's very simple also to set up. And it's also very versatile because the terrain is just easy to plop down, and you can build more scenarios on your own or play others that are built by people online. So there's a lot of versatility, a lot of replayability with this system. Now we'll take a look at the blocks that come with the game. You have 4 different types of blocks. You have infantry, cavalry, artillery, and leaders. And infantry and cavalry are 2 distinctly different size blocks, as you can see here. The artillery and leaders may look differently, but they are the same type of block. You just turn the leader's block lengthwise, and you have your leader's block. Now we'll take a look at the sticker sheets that come with the game. There are 6 of them, and the units are spread across all 6. We've got Highland units, light cavalry, light artillery. We've got some battle markers here. Lowland units, government forces, more light cavalry and artillery. Leaders, as well as the lowland and regular units. And as we see, they continue on through all 6 sheets. And then we've got some trained units as well, which are a little different than what we've already seen. As well as militia. And we've got some grenadiers here too. And we are back to the first sheet. And we'll take a look at the player aids that come with the game. There are 2 of them. They are identical. So we'll just look at the one here. On the front, we get the unit reference chart. This lists out the different types of units, their movement, their combat dice, whether they ignore flags, how many hexes they retreat, information for rally, and as well as notes on the right-hand side. And on the back, we have the terrain effects chart, which lists out all the different types of terrain, movement costs, battle effects, the cost for infantry, cavalry, artillery, and whether it blocks LOS, and then the morale effects on the right-hand side. And while the back says 13 scenarios, there are actually 15 with the included scenario sheet. First one is here for Preston, and then the back is for Little Ferry. And this is an example of what I was talking about with setting up the map below here. You're going to use these terrain pieces to build the different types of maps on which you're going to fight. You have the roads here and some trees over here as well. So there's a lot of variation in this game. And we'll take a look at the cards that come with the game. These are the command cards, and these are the ones that each player will have a hand of and will play to move their units across the board. We've got Rally, Inspired Leader left, Assault Center, and Advanced Center. As I said, these will be used to move your units across the board or to rally, things like that, that both players will have access to the same deck. Then the other cards we have are combat cards specific to each faction. For the Jacobites, they all have cards that are specific to their types of tactics that they'll be using, like Highland Charge, Infantry Melee Bonus, and Clan Resolve, which reflects their capabilities in combat. And just like the Jacobites, the government have their own cards as well: Battle and Pursuit, Dress Ranks, and Cavalry Strike and Run, which reflect the capabilities of the British Army at the time. And we'll take a look at the 4 combat dice that come with the game. This means a hit on infantry. This means a hit on the cavalry. This is a hit on artillery. This is no hit in range combat. And this is the flag marker. That indicates that there is no hit, but there may be a retreat for that unit. Now we'll take a look at the rulebook. It is a 40-page rulebook. And don't forget that there are also scenarios in here, so don't be intimidated by the 40-page length. Inside of the front cover, we have the introduction, listing of the contents, those blocks we talked about: infantry, cavalry, artillery, and leader. Then we have the game board, the terrain tiles, command cards, battle dice, all explained to you, as well as the victory banner counters, which we did not look at. Those are on the terrain tiles sheet. Units and leaders, unit army roster, and then the Jacobite units and the government units all shown for you so you can see which unit is which. And then they are broken down further to tell you what the capabilities of each unit are for both the Jacobite and the government forces. Then we get into the object of the game, setting up the game turn, how you play through your game turn, all the steps broken down for you: combat, range combat, illustrated example of play, how you check your range, your line of sight, and then how to resolve combat. Then we get into the melee combat. Then we have retreat and rally checks. Those continue on here for the rally check procedure. Leaders with unit that fail rally checks, lone leaders that are on their own, whether they retreat, if they escape, if they're eliminated. Clan chief and chief officer markers, additional combat actions, victory banners, objective victory banners, and combat cards, an explanation of those. The command cards, and then the terrain is all broken down for you so you can understand each of the different pieces of terrain and how they affect the game itself. Then we get to the credits, and the scenarios start here on page 28. And Kelly Cranky is the one that had a note at the beginning when we looked at it. It says here that one terrain tile is slightly hidden from view. It is the 3rd row from the top of the diagram, 8th hex from the left. The terrain under the unit is a hill tile, and that is right here. And It's hard to see if you look at the book itself, but thankfully Compass noticed that and has a note in there for you, so that way you know that under that or on that hex will be a hill tile. So we got Killiecrankie, Dunkeld, Cromdale, Alness, Sheriff Muir, Glen Shiel, Preston Pans, Clifton, Inverurie, Falkirk Stage 1, Falkirk Stage 2, the Battle of Culloden, and then the Battle of Culloden flanking move on the back of the rulebook. But don't forget, we do have the other two scenarios, which we looked at before, that are on that separate card. And that is a look at everything you get inside of Jacobite Rising. This is a game designed by Richard Borg and published by Compass Games. If you're familiar with the Borg system, you know what to expect. It is an incredibly versatile system that has been used from everything from Ancients all the way to outer space with sci-fi combat, and that's fantastic. It is a simple system that you can easily jump in and understand, and when you do, you can roll from one game to the next. Again, makes it a very versatile system. And the best part about it is low entry. It's not a really difficult game to understand. Not only can you understand it, but you can get your kids, your friends that are not wargamers, they can jump in on this with you and have a lot of fun. And it's a great gateway to getting people to understand how fun war games are. And once again, Compass did a fantastic job on this production. These counters, I'm telling you, I'm not kidding. When you take them out of shrink, do not have them over your sink or anything like that. Don't be walking around opening them up, because they're going to fall out, and you don't want them dropping on the ground and having your dog or your cat run off with them, because they're going to mangle them, and you don't want to have that happen. So be very careful when you open those up. But as I said, fantastic production from Compass. Really looking forward to getting this one on the table and sharing my thoughts with you in a review pretty soon. Well, I hope that helps you guys out if you've been curious about this one. You have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.